Oh no.
I guess so. All right, yes.
Are you ready?
Some comments from Coach.
All right, another challenge in the Pac-12. We got a lot of Southern California guys, so excited for them to go down there and play in front of their family and friends. Although they compete with me trying to get tickets, so it makes it tough for me to get tickets for my family down there. But we're excited about the opportunity. Every year you play USC, you're going to play a very talented group that's going to have great coaches, and it's quite a challenge, and this year's no different. So our guys, we've had a good week of practice to date, and we're excited for Saturday night.
Your guys have almost nothing to do with a 14-year losing streak to USC, but are they aware of it, and you think they're motivated to end that and turn a page on that?
Our guys aren't aware of it because I was just made aware of it. Our guys just know that this is a league opponent, that we got to go on the road and play well to go win. Obviously when you have guys from Southern California, they know about that program and its history and tradition, but that's not what we're playing against. We're playing against the 2018 Trojans, and that's how our guys approach it.
Is it important not to be thinking about how great USC's been for the last 40 years and just say we have to take care of ourselves?
I don't know that our guys think that way. They don't think of it as fans can sometimes think of it, how many years in a row. Our guys look at the film. They know they've got really good players and they're well coached. We just have to outcompete them on Saturday, and that's how they concern themselves.
When you watch what they did in the run game against Oregon State, what kind of stood out?
Well, I think they wanted to go back to their roots of being a power running football team. Obviously, the head coach decided to be the play caller last week. You could see the change. We feel that, that's probably what their MO is going to be this week. And, we're challenging our guys to expect them to try to run the football at us. And, we've got to be stout against the run. Most weeks we have been, but there's another challenge because it's a really athletic offensive line. They've got excellent backs, and if you want to load people in the box to stop the run, they do a nice job of throwing the ball over the top and taking shots. So you got to be judicious on having your secondary help.
Are they playing with more tempo now, and is that something you don't see much with a power running team?
I didn't notice that they played with that much tempo. You don't see them. The defense on film struggling to get lined up last week a ton. At times you did, so I think they sprinkled some of it in. But we go against tempo all the time, so our guys are kind of used to that.
What do you think of a couple of their bigger wide receiver targets in St. Brown and Vaughn, who can take the top off? Yeah,
obviously they've got excellent speed, and some teams that have excellent speed, they're not taking as many deep shots as these guys do. So we're going to have to do a great job playing with leverage, playing with great vision. Not falling for double moves, because they are going to, stretch you vertically. And, particularly with Vaughn's, he's a long guy. And so he goes and he makes catches on 50-50 balls because he can go up and get it. Eight's does a great job in the slot, and he's got, tremendous quickness. So, they got a bunch of guys. One's the same way.
When Coach Helton was talking about your guys' defense, he was saying that he could see your fingerprints and Coach Wilcox's fingerprints on it. How much fun have you had just working with Coach Wilcox and kind of developing this year?
Yeah, it's been a ball for me, and Peter being here, having that history with him as well. It's really energized me as a coach, to relook at things how I did it and kind of mesh different thoughts, and I think our kids have taken to it well, and that's the most important part. Is we're trying to make it simple for our guys so they can play fast and still make it a multiple package where we hopefully make an offense think a little bit so that we can slow them down a little bit.
You got put on the Broyles Award watch list earlier. How does it feel to kind of get that kind of recognition?
Well, those types of things are nice for the program. Mm-hmm. It's never about the coordinator. I'm fortunate enough to get the title, but we have players that really play hard, and they're the ones that make the plays. We've got a coaching staff that we all are involved in the game planning and coaching our guys up. So it's a nice compliment to our players and our staff, but that's how I take it.
What in general have you seen from Tevin Paul, especially just over the last couple of weeks?
Well, I've really been pleased. We talked over the summer that depending on what would happen health-wise at different positions, we talked to our guys about having to be job swappers. You might start here, but we may have to move you in different spots. And we've had a few guys, and I thought at first, he was a little nervous about it, but he's really taken to it. And Playing the outside linebacker position, there's a lot more mentally than what we asked him to do as a defensive end. And he's taken the challenge and he's worked at it, and he's really become, I think, a very good edge rusher for us. He's still working on his coverage skills, so we try not to get him in coverage too much. But really pleased with the production we've gotten out of him since we've moved him in that position.
What kind of things did you see from the Washington State tape that you're working on this week in practice?
Well, Washington State is just so different than USC, really anybody else in our league. And so a lot of the concepts that, we had against them, we won't carry forth. But, in that game, it was about competing and the game really came down to a few plays. And, I think this game, ideally, it's going to be the same way. We want to put ourselves in a position that in the fourth quarter, it's a one-score game, and then who makes the plays at the end is, going to be deserving of the game. So, we got to tackle against these guys. They've got some physical runners, big guys that are fast. They got receivers that can really run. Last week's receiving group was pretty good, and the quarterback was pretty good. So, it's the Pac-12. You better be ready every week.
Do you think your guys on defense are enjoying these low-scoring games that you've had lately? And the fact
as coaches, I'd much rather have the Oregon State type of game.
I understand, but the fact that there's just a lot on their shoulders and the game is kind of one of those grindy kind of games.
I think so. I think we've got a blue-collar mentality on our defense. I think when we first got here, we talked about changing the paradigm, and unfortunately they didn't play great defense, and so a lot of guys felt like, woe is me, and they're a little slump-shouldered. Where now I think our guys have a little pride that we can win a game on defense, and as a coach, it's really fun to see that transition in their attitude. And I don't mind us, keeping it low scoring, for the opponent, but maybe we need to score, a couple more times on D.
Offensive touchdown the last 2 weeks, and you could be 2-0 in those two games.
Well, yeah, but I mean, our job every week is to outplay the opponent's defense. Now, only one of those 2 weeks did we, so that's how we look at it. If our opponent, gives up, 47 points, okay, we got a little bit easier job that week. If our opponent, last week we played an excellent defense. Last 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago we beat their defense, and last week we didn't.
I was asking Coach Wilcox the other day about Cam Bynum's season, and he talked about how he plays with such calm and never panics. Do you see that in Cam's game?
Yeah, absolutely. The time it really impressed me, I think, was a year ago. Now, he's a freshman playing for the first time in the Ole Miss game. And if you remember, the Ole Miss receivers a year ago, and they're probably still the same way. I mean, it looks like you're playing against the Raiders. I mean, really impressive look.
Bad, huh?
A year ago, back when Mari was there. I mean, but they had an NFL crew at receiver, and early on in the game, a couple guys ran by him for touchdowns, and I was expecting to see a freshman with big old eyes, kind of woe is me look, and it didn't faze him. And at the end of the game, they're going after him, and he kept competing, and he didn't get up another route. So when I saw that, I knew he's got the right temperament for corner, and he's a guy that is driven to perfect his craft. He's not comfortable just, okay, I played good last week. I'm going to go look at the details of, how is my footwork? How can I get it better? And he's constantly working at it, which, when you combine that with the talent that he has and the demeanor, it makes for an excellent corner. I think he's playing at an all-conference type level.
How's Travion done for you guys in the slot?
He's really done a nice job. He's been a guy that a year ago wasn't very consistent. You'd see flashes and, one step forward, 2 steps back kind of thing. And so it was hard to trust him. And even in the spring, it was hard to trust him. So we challenged him, and I really think he's stepped up this year. We put him on a slot, he can make plays. He can cover slot receivers with his quickness, and, he's made some big-time plays for us. So, as a Bosco grad, I like seeing other Bosco grads do good things.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you so much.